We are live, I think. Yep, looks like we're live. Welcome, everybody. See a couple of you in the Threadcast already. Welcome. I'm just going to get these announcements out. It's probably going to be a pretty quick AMA. Mitch is on another call, and he may try to jump in at some point whenever his other call ends. YouTube. I will edit in the YouTube link. Everybody likes that. YouTube Threadcast is good. All right. Announcements are all out. And looks like we're good. Yeah, feel free to start dropping some questions. I figured, especially because this might be a little bit of a quicker, compact AMA, probably go for like 30 minutes or so. And then, I figured because Mitch is running a little late, I'll just go live and start talking about the LeoStrategy updates because there's been so many of them. And I did see an interesting thread from who was it? I think Casper Mueller said it's hard to keep up with everything happening, and I agree. I think it's pretty wild how much is happening on so many different fronts. And I think you're actually starting to really see now that LeoStrategy has its own interface. You're starting to really see the impact of having really two kind of hardcore building teams operating separately but on the same mission. And this is something that I've thought about for a long time and obviously wanted to happen, that not only the Leo team is building incredible technology, for this community and beyond, but also you've got, the community itself can form teams and projects, and even individuals can build whatever they want. We've seen that with a few people in our community who have kind of stepped up and built stuff on their own. And then now we're seeing it with kind of this collective with LeoStrategy, really building a lot of technology for the Leo economy, and also working to get other people from the outside into the Leo economy and interested in the Leo economy while growing, obviously their own stake in Leo, because their mission is to own as much Leo as possible on their balance sheet, which is really good for all of us when you really nail it down. So while I let you guys file in here, I am going to do a quick walkthrough of the LeoStrategy website. I feel like a lot of people still haven't seen it, so I'm just going to drop the link in the Threadcast. Highly recommend. Yeah, Master Lamps, we are live. Obviously, if you're asking, I don't know if you're listening, but we are live. If you refresh the Threadcast, you should see the YouTube link at some point soon, whenever it updates. Why don't I just drop that also in the Threadcast so you guys can see it. Yeah, we are live. And so let's do a quick walkthrough because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, I mean, it's a lot of information. Obviously, they were working on it for quite some time. So, let's kind of dive into the app itself and then some of the other stuff. By the way, I did a video, so I'll keep this one obviously shorter, but I did a video and posted it yesterday where I did like a 35-minute walkthrough of the app. So if you want the deep dive, go for that video. If you want I'll just give a quick overview so that we can talk about it during today's Threadcast. And then I'll probably live demo like Apex, which is their AI app, and things like that, because I think it's cool to show. So let's show some of that stuff. And while I'm doing this, feel free to drop your questions in the Threadcast. I would love to answer them. So drop some questions in there and we can get into that stuff. It's been a crazy couple weeks of just like grinding things out. So between LeoKit and LeoDex and then the LeoDex mobile wallet, we've got a lot going on for the Leo team. And then now LeoStrategy is dropping all their updates, which is good. I like fast technical progress. So let's keep it rolling. But This is LeoStrategy's app. Like I said, go to my YouTube or my profile on InLeo, and you can find the deep dive that I did. But this is generally, just the overview of the app. You can see there's a Leo page, and there's a page for every single asset. So you got LSTR, Surge, ACE, the launch page, and then you've got the RWAs have their own sections. So you can kind of go through all of this on your own time if you'd like to. So you can go through all of that, and you can also see all their purchases. So this is all in real time. So whenever you see a thread get posted, for example, you'll see that it gets posted right here onto the purchases page, and then you can see even like a chart here. And I love that it's like the orange dots, which is exactly like what Michael Saylor posts all the time. MicroStrategy is going to put more orange dots on the board. So very cool to see pretty much the same thing being done with LeoStrategy, and all of it being real time and accessible on this dashboard. So, like I said, go to the video for the deep dive. That was just a quick overview. Let's talk about some ACE stuff, because I think ACE is really interesting. So, when you look at the crypto ecosystem, the most profitable projects, or I guess you would call them businesses at this point, have been things like Tether with USDT, and then you obviously have Circle with USDC and a bunch of others. And then you've got DAI, so you've got a whole set of decentralized stablecoins. You got obviously HBD on Hive, but then you've also got DAI for MakerDAO, which is now called Sky Protocol. But I've been following that one and actually using it for a very long time, DAI. And the main use case for me has always been the lending vault. So you can deploy wrap Bitcoin into a lending vault. You can take out DAI as a loan against it, against your wrap Bitcoin, and then you can use that DAI for whatever you want. You can swap it to other stable coins and then withdraw it to cash or something, or you can just like use it in the crypto ecosystem. For example, you can take it. This is something I've done, is you can take it and then you can deposit stable coins in LPs. So like DAI-USDC or DAI-USDT, and then you can earn yield. So you can basically like arbitrage the yield of borrowing DAI and then depositing it in an LP. And if you do that, you can make like a nice spread on that yield. And then basically, the goal there is that your wrap Bitcoin isn't just like sitting as Bitcoin in your wallet doing nothing. It's able to be deployed in DeFi, in the form of being collateral for a loan. Then you take out the stable coins and then use it to generate yield. And generating that yield then, allows you to earn income essentially on your idle Bitcoin, which you plan to hold for a long period of time. So this is something I've done for many years. You can actually go to my blog and just like look through blog posts that I've written in the past of me doing this. I've done it with wrap Bitcoin. I've done it with ETH. I've done it for many years. So I'm a big fan of collateralized lending. I've wanted collateralized lending for Leo for so many years now. I've talked about, what a dream it would be if you could, take your Leo, put it in a lending vault, and then do the same thing I just described. You take out a DAI loan, and then you use the DAI in liquidity pools. You LP it, and you earn yield on it, and then your Leo, and obviously there's other use cases for Leo, but then you have some Leo that's not just sitting idle. You're actually earning yield while you still hold 100% Leo exposure. Which is harder to do, because if you want yield while maintaining 100% Leo exposure, there's a couple options out there. One of them is LPing, but then you have impermanent loss, potentially. So if you want to just deposit Leo and then take stable coins and then either pay bills or invest in something else, or deposit that loan into a liquidity pool so that you can earn yield, that's something that you haven't been able to do until now. So with ACE, this is all possible. ACE is kind of like the lifeblood of making that happen. And also what I think LeoStrategy has done with ACE that I am a big fan of is that they're building an entire business around it, right? Like exactly like what Tether has done with USDT. USDT has made its way into a lot of different parts of not only the crypto economy, but the TradFi economy. And this generates a ton of revenue for Tether. And all of that revenue coming in essentially just leads to them, building a bigger treasury, building a better business, getting more integrations, etc. So you could foresee that ACE is going to do the same thing. And I think that is really the mission behind ACE, is that it's, yes, one of the main use cases is going to be Leo lending, but I would say there's so many other potential use cases for a coin that is going to be hard pegged to $1. So ACE has hard peg mechanics, which is very different than a lot of other things that are out there. So I want to talk about those hard peg mechanics a little bit. One thing that I'm kind of like predicting is going to be a question is that, what about Surge? How does ACE compare to Surge? Surge is a bond, right? So ACE is a stable token that's meant to be hard pegged to $1. It will always trade for roughly $1, plus or minus 2%, and we'll get into why it's plus or minus 2% in a second. Surge is completely different. Surge is a bond that has a liquidation preference, but it does not have a hard peg. So, I think one of the confusing things about Surge is that the liquidation preference is $1, which makes you think it's a stable coin, but it is not. It is, that liquidation preference of $1 is meant more, I think, was designed to be simple in terms of yield. So really the way to value Surge is the way you would value a bond. You would look at the effective yield that it's paying, which you can actually do here. So you can go to the Surge page on LeoStrategy's website, and you can see where Surge is trading right now. So Surge is trading at an extremely steep discount, and the effective yield is 30%. So basically the market is not valuing the Surge liquidation preference, which means that if you buy it, you get the higher effective yield. And that yield kind of offsets the risk of the bond, right? So the higher the yield, the more risky the bond is seen as by the market. So I think this is like a very interesting thing to kind of understand. And again, the floor of $1 is guaranteed, but it doesn't mean that the market's going to value it at $1. So you have to consider that, the general sentiment around LeoStrategy is what's going to change the price of Surge as a bond, because Surge is basically a bond for LeoStrategy as a business, if that makes sense. When you buy a Surge, it is backed by the LSTR that it will one day convert into. So if people are, maybe not as bullish on LeoStrategy, then Surge isn't going to trade as high. Surge has no, so this goes in both ways, right? Surge has no capped upside. It also has no capped downside. So theoretically, Surge could be trading for $3 or $10. It also could trade for 50 cents or 60 cents or 80 cents. There is no actual peg mechanic of Surge. It is a bond. It is a long-term bet on the growth of LeoStrategy. So if you want that upside, you get that high effective yield, and then you also get the unlimited theoretical upside as LeoStrategy grows with Surge. You won't get that in a stablecoin. So that's what you're getting paid for, right? Like that's like the key thing to understand, is that if you have a bond versus a stablecoin, with the bond you're getting paid for the risk. You also get the with risk comes upside, so you get the upside of Surge's future convertibility. So Surge can easily trade for $2, $5, $10. I think one day it will. When that will happen, who knows? It's just a matter of how fast LeoStrategy grows in the future, right? But I think a lot of people are going to start to wrap their heads around this and understand that as a bond, Surge has really interesting mechanics. So again, it's like, if you believe in LeoStrategy, if you believe in the bond mechanics, if you know how bonds work, then you could buy Surge and you get this 30% effective yield while you essentially wait for upside. If you don't like bonds, or maybe you want a different use case, ACE is a completely unique use case relative to Surge, right? So what ACE is offering is a hard peg to $1. It's also the seed of Leo lending, the lending protocol. And it's also going to be used as the base liquidity for all pairs now and in the future. So every LeoStrategy asset is going to be paired to ACE. And they have that here, actually. If you go to the presale benefits, and then you click exclusive 20% APR weekly yield. So if you buy the ACE presale, you get a 20% yield paid to you every single week. But a key difference between ACE and something like Surge, for example, is that you won't get this yield by just buying and holding ACE. So you have to actually buy ACE in the presale, and then you have to LP it in any of the new ACE pools. So you'll see here on Hive Engine, all these pools are listed: Leo-ACE, swap.hbd/ACE, LSTR ACE, Surge ACE, etc. And then the same pools on Base, you've got ACE-USDC, you've got LSTR-ACE, Surge-ACE. Say that 100 times really fast. And you've got all these different pools, right? So you have to, if you want this 20% yield, you have to buy ACE and then deploy it in one of those liquidity pools, and that's how you achieve that yield. So I think these are some of the like really unique features of ACE that don't apply to these other assets, and it's important to understand them. Another thing I saw some people asking about on Inleo was the lending cap. So, the one thing that I find really interesting about the lending cap is that the way it's designed is that if you invest, for example, like $5,000 in the ACE presale, your lending cap will actually be $16,000, which means that you can deploy Leo into a lending vault and you can borrow more than you even put into the ACE presale. And there's a reason behind that, right? So the lending cap is meant to be used over a long period of time. So by buying ACE, you're effectively providing the liquidity needed to get lending off the ground. And the more liquidity you provide, the more access you get in terms of lending. Lending won't be available to anyone who doesn't participate in the ACE presale. So if you want to take out a Leo loan when it goes live, you have to have ACE. And you have to participate in the ACE presale. And I think that that's fair if you consider the way the mechanics work, because without the ACE presale being successful, lending can't work, right? You need that deep liquidity in order for lending to work, and we'll get into that when we talk about the PSM. So you also get lower borrowing fees, which means the higher your tier. So, like for example, if you get to the Shark tier, you get a 6% borrow APR versus the base APR, which is 8%. So if you want cheaper borrowing rates, you basically climb your way up these tiers, and then you'll get the cheapest borrowing rates. My plan, for example, is that I want to go for the high roller tier, and that will give me a 4% borrowing rate on my Leo. So basically, when Leo lending goes live, which will be the day the presale ends, so all this technology is already built, and we'll walk through that too. But when lending goes live, you'll be able to deposit Leo and take a stablecoin loan. And whatever tier you achieved in the presale is the borrowing APR that you'll have for life, right? So anytime you open or close or set up a new vault, et cetera, you'll get the borrowing APR that you originally got during the presale. So if I end up getting this high roller tier, which is my plan, I'll get a 4% borrowing APR in forever, right? So basically, if I deposit, let's just keep the math really simple. Let's just say I deposit, like $200,000 worth of Leo, and then I take $100,000 loan against it. If my borrowing rate is 4%, then I'll owe 4%, which is $4,000 a year on the Leo loan that I take out. And relative to other loans in the space, and even in TradFi, especially in TradFi, that's a really good borrowing APR. So even the 8% is really good. But if you can lower your APR by participating in this, I think it makes a lot of sense. So that's a key feature. And then another one is early feature access. So this will give you priority access to new collateral types, lending pools, and protocol integrations before they're available to the general public. So obviously the big one is that lending itself won't be available to anyone that doesn't participate in the presale for at least 12 months. So, I don't know if there's a hard date on that. They just said at least 12 months. So who knows, if you don't buy the ACE presale, you may not get lending access for a really long time. That's one of the benefits of being the liquidity provider that gets lending off the ground, right? You get the benefits for participating. One of the other early features that they added is the access to Apex. So you can see here on the screen, I'm accessing Apex, which is their AI model. We'll go into this in more depth in a second, but you need to have 500 ACE in order to access Apex. So you have to have 500 ACE in your wallet, and then you can access their AI app. So we'll talk about that in a second. PSM swap. So this is how ACE maintains a $1 peg. It maintains a hard peg to $1 because at any time you can swap ACE either into the market or through the PSM. And it would make sense to choose which one you're going to do based on the current price of ACE, right? So if ACE is trading for 99 cents in the open market or $1, then it makes more sense to sell ACE into the market. If ACE is trading under 99 cents, so let's say it's trading for under 98 cents, let's say it's just like trading at 97, right? Then it would make more sense to swap it through the PSM because you can swap 1,000 ACE for 980 USDC, which gives you a rate of 98 cents per ACE. So it makes a lot of sense to look at the market first. I think if you have ACE, this is gonna be how it works in the future. You look at the market. If the market's over 98 cents, you swap into the market when you want to sell your ACE. If the market is under 98 cents, you would go to leostrategy.io/ACE, this page that I'm on. Then you would put whatever ACE you want to swap here, and then you would swap it to USDC, and you would immediately receive USDC. And this allows not only people who are users to go in and out of ACE with confidence, knowing exactly what price they can get. It also allows arbitrageurs to maintain the market price. So ACE will never trade for extended periods below 98 cents because anybody who wants to can come here. They can go to the market. They can buy the cheaper ACE. Then they can come here and they can swap it for USDC. And then they'll make an instant profit. So that's how, and you can also swap to HBD. So HBD and USDC are an option here. So obviously, if you do an ACE swap to USDC, that would be on Base. If you do an ACE swap to HBD, that would be on Hive Engine. Or I guess HBD would be on Hive. So that's how that will work. And that price is guaranteed. So that's how ACE maintains that hard peg. And then the reverse is also true. So if you do, let's say that ACE is trading for more than $1, which I think will happen with frequency. So let's say ACE goes up to $1.05. Well, then you can go to the leostrategy.io/ACE page, and then you can take 1,000 USDC, for example. You can buy 980 ACE with it because, again, it has that same hard peg, that same rate that's guaranteed. And then you can swap 1,000 USDC for 980 ACE. And then you can take that 980 ACE and you can sell it for $1.05 on the open market. And again, you make an instant profit, and then you help to bring ACE back down to the peg. So ACE is always going to be trading between 98 cents and $1.02. And again, like split it down the middle, that's $1. So it's hard pegged to the $1 price. And the question then is, where does that 2% swap fee go? Because there's if you do the math on this, and it obviously says it here too, the swap fee is 2%. So when you trade at $1, you're actually getting 98 cents in either direction. That 2% fee actually goes to the PSM reserves, which are listed here. Obviously, this is a placeholder to show what it'll look like when it's live. And LeoStrategy's introduction post for ACE already explained that the reserves are going to start at 250,000, and it'll be half in USDC and half in HBD. So whenever anyone wants to do a PSM swap, there's always reserves there. And then the 2% fee actually just goes straight to the reserves to build the reserves over time. And then when the reserves are sitting there, they don't just sit liquid. They actually are LP'd as USDC-ACE and HBD-ACE, so that the PSM itself is actually earning yield for its liquidity. So it's basically providing liquidity to the market. It's earning yield on it. And then when someone does a PSM swap, it pulls some, whatever percent it needs out of the LP, and then it does the swap at this fixed rate for the user. So the rate for ACE is always guaranteed. And then the PSM reserves are always building because you've got the 2% built-in fee, and then you've also got the stability fee on the lending vaults, which I'll get into in a second. And then you've also got the LP fees for the PSM just sitting in the LP. I was also told about another mechanic when it comes to single-sided staking, which I think they're going to have live on the UI soon. But we were talking about this in the group chat, so I'll talk about that too. They said I could mention it. So the PSM reserves itself will start at $250,000 after the presale ends, and then they will increase over time as swap fees come in, as LP yield comes in, as stability fees get paid, by users who take out Leo loans. So now let's talk about the lending itself. So here you can do kind of like a example vault. So let's say you deposit 10,000 Leo as collateral. You can then borrow ACE based on that collateral. So let's say you want to do a 50% loan to value, basically. So you take out 50% of the value of the Leo that you're depositing, and then you can take out this much ACE. And you can obviously use this slider, and you can see, just keep the math simple. Let's say you deposit 10,000 Leo, which is worth $440 right now. You could take out a 200 ACE loan, and your collateral ratio would be 220%, which would be really safe. So this would be a safe loan and a safe vault to be in. If you are, the lowest tier, let's say you don't rank up your tier, you'll have an 8% stability fee. So the stability fee accrues daily, but it's an 8% APR. So basically what this means is if you take this loan, the one I have in the example, and you wait a year to pay it back, you will owe 200 ACE plus 8%, which would be quick on-air math, it'd be 216 ACE. So you'd have to actually pay back an extra 16 ACE. So you'd pay back 216 ACE to the lending protocol, and then you'll unlock your 10,000 Leo. While you had that loan out, you could have sold the ACE for USDC. You could have just LP'd the ACE and earned yield on it. You could have done whatever you want with the ACE. You could convert it to fiat, whatever. And then when you're done, you pay back the loan plus interest, and then you're done. Or you could just keep it in perpetuity. I mean, that's what I've done with my wrap Bitcoin vaults, for example. I just always have those vaults. And then as the Bitcoin price goes up, I'm able to borrow more out of the vaults. So as long as Bitcoin outperforms the lending rate, you can essentially borrow forever. And this is what people do with stocks. This is what people do with Bitcoin now and Ethereum. So this is a very common practice for people with a lot of assets. So that's how that works. And then obviously that stability fee gets paid into the PSM, which builds the reserves. So the PSM has multiple inflows for the reserves, and that's really important to keep the PSM safe in terms of how much the reserves are for swaps. And that obviously maintains the peg of ACE. The last thing here is the providing liquidity. So kind of talked about that again. Go watch that longer video I did if you want the deep dive. But you can basically provide liquidity and you'll earn yield for providing ACE liquidity across these pools. So I think what's going to be interesting is that you'll be able to do loans with Leo, borrow ACE, and then deploy it in liquidity pools, and then arbitrage this yield. So I think that's going to be a pretty fun thing to do. One thing that they put up here yesterday is that this timer has started. So every 72 hours of the presale, you basically the price of ACE will go up. So I think it goes up by 1 cent every 72 hours, and there's 9 stages of this. So it basically will go up 1 cent every 72 hours. So if you wait to buy the presale, you'll be getting it at a higher price the longer you wait. So this is obviously like a scarcity mechanic. It's meant to create a little bit of urgency when it comes to the presale. The sooner the presale ends, the sooner we get lending. So that's why I'm pretty motivated to get this this presale done. I would love to see Leo lending live. It's something I've wanted for a very long time. So let's get Leo lending live. I mean, it's we can see here our progress on it. 29 people so far have participated. Obviously, this went live just over this weekend. So it's fresh, brand new. You can go here and you can actually check your tiers. So after you buy some ACE, go here and then you can see how you're doing. So for example, here I just typed in my username. So far I have 2,200 ACE. You can see my lending cap is going to be $8,000. My borrow APR is 7%, so I've already got a 1% discount. The LP yield I'll get is 20% APR. My tier will last a lifetime, so the lifetime of my account. It's all the tiers are permanent, and then it shows how many slots are left for this tier. And then also here it will show you your progress at the next tier. So if you want to get to the next tier, you can effectively upgrade, and then that just basically means you get more ACE, and then you can get to the next tier. They also have these bonuses. So if you buy, for example, $1,000 worth of ACE, you'll get a 3% bonus. And then if you go for higher amounts, like here's the highest amount I think is 10,000, then you'll get a 10% bonus. So you effectively get 10% more ACE than what you purchased. So if you bought $10,000 worth, you would get 11,111 ACE plus the extra 1,111 ACE bonus, which then means you get 12,222 total ACE. And your lending cap when Leo lending goes live will be $30,000. So that's what I was talking about before, that they've, the design of the lending caps really makes a lot of sense for presale buyers, because you buy a small amount of the presale and then you get a large lending cap when lending goes live. So it basically gives you access to a lot more deep liquidity. So again, there's a lot to digest here, and I've seen a lot of questions about it. So I just wanted to do a little bit of a deeper dive specifically on ACE. But if you want a dive on the whole LeoStrategy site, go to that video, and I spent like 35 minutes walking through it. So let me see what questions you guys had while I was doing my thing. Let me switch back to the Threadcast as well for the screen share. All right, back to the Threadcast. Let's see here. Welcome, David. Sergeant Dan, welcome. Welcome, Ahmad Manga. High roller, yeah, that's what I'll be going for. Yeah, if you're interested in Leo lending, you'll have to participate in the pre-sale, Ahmad Manga. Yeah, the Hive price is down quite a lot. Before we went live, I saw the pre-sale was repriced, so you had a chance to buy Ace. Obviously, they're keeping Ace pegged at 90 cents for the pre-sale, and then every 72 hours it's going to increase. So what does that timer say? It says 47 more hours until the price goes up. So you've got basically 47 hours till the price of Ace goes from 90 cents to 91 cents. Honestly, it makes a lot of sense to just buy it early. Because then you're effectively just guaranteed the next rate increase, right? It's like built-in price increases. So I would recommend buying it earlier than later. And obviously, you can already see if you go back to the pre-sale page. If you go to the leaderboard, you can see I'm at the top of the leaderboard. So don't do what I say, do what I do, I guess. The earlier you buy, the better price you get. So back to the Threadcast. See what else you guys got. Morty, yeah, the price of Ace in terms of Hive has already gone up. I think it's already gone up twice because the Hive price keeps going down. So Sergeant Dan said, let's hope that the DEXs play with Ace the same way they did with SBD and HBD in the past. They might, you never know. But keep in mind that as it goes up, basically what will happen is people can do the PSM swaps and then they're good. Master Lamps, what are the tiers for hodling Ace? You can check the tiers on the leostrategy.io/Ace page. All the tiers are listed there. So there's different benefits for each tier. I would recommend checking it out. D-Kid said, do the PSM swaps happen on LeoDex? Actually, they happen directly with LeoStrategy, so they're not in a pool. They're effectively like an OTC swap because the price of a PSM swap is guaranteed. But if you want to trade Ace on LeoDex, it will be tradable on LeoDex. You'll be able to buy and sell Ace with USDC on and obviously any other supported crypto on LeoDex. You'll be able to do all of that through LeoDex also. So yeah, it is all possible through LeoDex. But the PSM swaps itself are like OTC. So you should look at it again. Like I said, most swapping, probably 99% of trading is going to happen directly on the market. The 1% of trading that will happen through the PSM is when the market price isn't as good as the PSM price. So then you'd go to the PSM and you'd trade there, which then will bring up the market price. Because what's really going to happen is that arbitrageurs look at the PSM and they look at the market. As soon as Ace, for example, trades at 97 cents, they'll buy it back up to 98 cents and then use the PSM to convert their arbitrage profits. The Leo, so Ahmad Manga said when Rafiki API, which I will showcase because LeoStrategy has actually implemented the Rafiki APIs. So I will showcase that in a second. We're talking about the pricing here. You need at least 100 Ace for the first tier. Yeah, 100 Ace, which is about $90. So it doesn't take much to get to the first tier. Let's talk about the. I caught up on all questions. So before we jump out of here, and you're welcome to keep dropping questions while I do this. But let's show off the new Apex tool. So if you go to the LeoStrategy site, I might be cutting this off a little bit in the recording, but there's a little chat icon in the bottom right. If you click that, it opens Apex. So Apex is LeoStrategy's AI app. And if you own Ace tokens, you can use Apex, which is their AI that's connected to Leo AI. So the Rafiki APIs, which Ahmad Manga just asked about, are actually integrated into the back end here. But what's really cool is the UI that LeoStrategy built around it. So they managed to beat us in terms of delivering a UI for Rafiki. So you can go to leostrategy.io. If you hold 500 ACE, you get early access to Apex. And then you can ask Apex questions. So let's just do a question here and say, how do I allocate 50,000 Leo? So that's one of the pre-built questions if you want to test Apex. You'll see that it opens an app called Strategy Advisor. It's also really fast. It said, I'd like to help you allocate your 50,000 Leo effectively. To provide the best recommendation, I need your risk tolerance first. Let's just say that we are a conservative investor, let's say, and we want a conservative take on what to do with our 50,000 Leo. And then we'll ask for the full breakdown. So it says, here's a detailed breakdown of your conservative allocation of 50,000 Leo. And it's saying to own some LSTR, some liquid Leo, and some Surge. So it is giving us kind of like a very detailed breakdown now that it kind of understands our situation and what we're looking for. And here's what I really wanted to show you guys, that when it does a detailed breakdown, it does something that they're calling alpha. So if you've used certain AI models, most of them don't have this yet, but some of them do. I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 that have this. One good example is like Claude has something called artifacts. So LeoStrategy has called their AI Apex, like Apex Predator, because they believe that Leo is the best asset in the world. And then Alpha is their version of artifacts, which basically are visuals that go along with the chat that you're having. So let's just say modify this portfolio to have 50%, ACE allocation. And it's earning 20% APR or APY by being LP'd with liquid Leo. So now I asked it to modify the portfolio a little bit to have an ACE allocation, and then you'll see that it's going to change the the alpha on the right. So here you can see the previous alpha that I was given. So the original one was this conservative portfolio that it built. So LSTR, Leo, and Surge. It also shows me the expected annual yield for that. And then I said, let's get, let's throw ACE in there. And then the yield went up significantly because ACE, I think, has, a lot more upside in terms of yield generation, being the stable coin that it is. So the expected yield almost 2x'd. And it told me, you can basically LP it. You can have your LSTR and your Surge allocations here, and it shows you the breakdown of the APY that you can have. So basically what we did is we took our liquid Leo and we converted it to ACE. And then this is the visual portfolio that it gave us, and it calls it alpha. So alpha, kind of being the play on alpha in terms of finance. So you can see there that you get the alpha, and if you make any other changes, so let's say we want to, I want to own 100% ACE and LP for yield, show me the breakdown. So let's ask it for this breakdown. It's going to give me the breakdown if I allocate everything to ACE. And then you're going to see that the alpha is going to change once it's done telling me all this. So what are the yield that will come with that? What are the implementation steps? What's the risk analysis, safety metrics, monitoring tips? And then it shows me, actually it showed me a lending vault. So it can show you different things. So you'll see here, if I go to alpha, it generated multiple alpha diagrams. So it's basically showing me if I did a lending vault with 100% ACE allocation, it'll show me if I put my 50,000 Leo into a lending vault and generated ACE against it. So that's what it did here. It's showing me that if I did this, it would be risky because if you borrowed 1,173 ACE, your liquidation price would be kind of high. So you can obviously modify this. I can tell it if I said, even here it's recommending, is my ACE vault safe, is a recommended question, which you could then say, well, I don't like that the collateral ratio is 171%. Give me a safe collateral ratio, and then it'll give you something that's over like 200%. It also generated the portfolio itself. So you can see here a 50,000 Leo portfolio completely allocated to ACE will generate about 10,000 Leo a year. And then you can see some of these other metrics. And again, you can go back through all the other alpha that you had in the previous conversations. So pretty cool. And then one thing they said is add feedback. So they actually have automated the feedback looping. So you can go here and I can say, let's see, do I have any feedback on this? Honestly, I don't have any bug reports for this. So I don't have any feedback to give right now. But basically, let's just say that something was confusing, not helpful, or maybe something in the UI is broken. I can just literally say UI didn't work as expected. I'm not going to submit this because it's not true, but you can basically put this feedback here, and then you can submit the report. It gets sent automatically to LeoStrategy's backend for Apex, and then they actually use it to improve their UI if it's a UI thing. If it's not a UI thing, it actually gets sent to the Leo AI APIs, where then Leo AI will make the necessary changes and make the necessary updates to improve the model. So all this this feedback is real time, and it will improve the model. So it may take like 24 hours to actually see the changes live, but the feedback gets sent autonomously. So if you're using this, make sure you give feedback on the answers and other things. But it's really cool. I mean, it's amazing to see how well they did with Apex. I think it's awesome. So now we have a UI for Leo AI. They are moving so fast. I mean, it's insane in terms of how fast things have been rolled out. Back to the threadcast. On manga, wow, these alpha graphics look great, and it's amazing that they keep the previous ones. Yeah, it is pretty cool. I mean, it keeps your previous chats. It's awesome. So once you have 500 ace, you can access Apex. I actually see Master Lamps posted a screenshot. He's got 10 ace, and it says you need 490 more ace to access Apex. So, yep. Yeah, the UI will tell you. So you need to have the ace in order to get early Apex access. Apex is really cool because I've already noticed it gets significantly better as you use it. So I've already given, obviously I didn't really have any feedback that time during the live demo, but throughout the times I've used it, I've probably given about 10 different feedback submissions because I've been playing with it a lot. And I've noticed it's gotten significantly better. So if you do end up using Apex and seeing things, definitely give it feedback. It is like real time improvements. It's amazing. So just give feedback, whether it's UI or backend or just how the answer was given, things like that. Give as much feedback as you can, and Apex will continue to get better. So it is a really cool model. It's a really cool implementation in terms of AI, especially because it uses Leo AI on the backend. So it's pretty awesome. Manga said, the best thing about these projections, you can only get them this detailed on Leo AI. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could pass an up-to-date docs, but then, yeah, you'd have to pass an up-to-date docs, but then the pricing would all be wrong, right? Because the pricing is always changing in real time. So, like going back here, I can go back to Apex, enter my username, and then if I do, are there any arbitrage opportunities? Let's see what it says. Because obviously, in order to scan, let's just say we're experienced. In order to scan for arbitrage opportunities, obviously needs to see the current price of tokenized Tesla, tokenized gold, tokenized Nvidia, et cetera. It also needs to see the correlation price, like what it's supposed to be. Otherwise, how would it know the arbitrage opportunity? So obviously that, like exactly what Ahmad Manga is saying, it needs to come from Leo AI. Otherwise, it wouldn't be real time. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. I do actually see a bug here. The 99% deviation is not right. So I will be telling Apex that the deviation is not showing right. So now you guys get to see me submit feedback, and then I usually like paste in the data that it gave me that I didn't think was accurate. Then you can see here, you can report the chat for review, and then it does that. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. So it's reading everything from LeoStrategy's APIs. So check this out. So once it's done typing all this stuff to me. So you can see that the deviation percentage isn't right, but the other data is right. So I already told that in a feedback ticket that deviation data is not coming through correctly. But actually, let's see if it'll just do it in real time. Calculating something incorrectly on the decimals. I'm not going for spelling here, so don't make fun of my spelling. Let's see if it corrects itself in the chat. If it doesn't correct itself in the chat, then like I said, I reported it as feedback, and for the next chat, it will be fixed. One other thing is cool. It's and actually that's really relevant to what we're talking about. So Madwanga said you can only get this through Leo AI, which is true, because look at the sources it's citing. So it has the Leo price that it pulled a minute ago. It has the LSTR stats, surge stats, tokenized Tesla stats, tokenized gold stats, tokenized NVIDIA stats. So it's pulling from all those sources, which are real time through Leo AI's, through Leo AI and the LeoStrategy APIs, et cetera. So let's see the deviations. Here we go. So it actually did correct itself. And let's see here. So I'm saying now give me the breakdown with the corrected deviations. And it should do that. Mod Manga, yeah, real-time arbitrage opportunity finder. They also said they're working on notifications. So if you want notifications when an opportunity presents itself in real time, you'll be able to get that. This is all from their blog post yesterday, by the way, which let me just link it for you guys. I see that it's also responding to me, but in their Apex announcement post, you can see there in that post they talk about some of this stuff, but the notifications are one of the next features I think that's going to come out. So you'll be able to get notified of different things on LeoStrategy's website through Apex. And then you'll also, and here just updated this. So now you can see the deviations are actually correct. So it just corrected itself. So there you go. And I'll actually tell it deviations started wrong, but corrected after we chatted. So I'm just saying this in a feedback report so that Leo AI gets it on the back end, so that this will improve Leo AI in the future. So real-time training. So yeah, you can see the opportunities here. It's pretty cool. So it shows you there's 3 opportunities to buy the RWAs and arbitrage the pegs. So pretty awesome. You can click switch account, obviously, if you want to switch your account. But yeah, Apex is pretty awesome. It's honestly one of the best AI UIs I've used so far. And now we just have to see the improvements get made on the Leo AI backend and whatnot. So it is continuously getting better. I mean, if you use it, it's literally a daily improvement. So I'm excited about where it's going to head from here. Let's see if I switch us back to the Threadcast. More T, I don't think there's an exact date and time when the ACE presale ends. I know that there's every 72 hours, there's a price bump. So just keep that in mind, that if you buy now, you'll get it cheaper than you will every 72-hour period of time. So the first 72-hour period will end in 46 hours. So if you want the cheapest rate, you have 46 more hours to buy. Also keep in mind that Hive's price keeps dropping. So the price of ACE in Hive terms is going to keep going up. So that is also another factor. I want to see this question actually. Rafiki, Morty asked Rafiki, could you answer everything I would ask in Apex? Rafiki said Apex taps into Leo AI's APIs, so I can handle most DeFi and Leo ecosystem queries you'd throw at it, like portfolio advice, etc. I'm more general purpose, while Apex specializes in real-time LeoStrategy tools with visuals. Ask away here. That's actually a very good answer. So yeah, Rafiki is going to give you the more generalized answers. He also does not have access to things from LeoStrategy's API. So some of those real-time prices that you see on Apex, for example, with the RWA arbitrage scanner, Rafiki doesn't have access to those pricing, that pricing in real time. So keep that in mind. When you use Rafiki, he is more generalized. Apex is specific to LeoStrategy, so very highly, like when you ask Rafiki stuff, he'll try to kind of steer you back towards Leo content, and you'll notice that because he's specialized in Leo, right? Like it's like a pool player will try to get you to play pool instead of darts, and LeoStrategy will Apex will do the same thing on LeoStrategy. So when you have conversations, it's obviously specialized in LeoStrategy information. So it will give you much more high quality real time data when it comes to LeoStrategy pricing, et cetera, as opposed to Rafiki. Let's see. If you guys have any last minute questions, we can do those. Otherwise, I am going to jump out of here, get back to playing with Apex and Rafiki. But yeah, get some ace and go play with Apex. I think it's really cool. I think it's really fun to see that when you give feedback, you can literally like come back the next day and see that the feedback you gave is implemented and the responses are much better, both on the UI and the backend. So LeoStrategy's UI for Apex is actually coded by Leo AI, which is crazy. So basically, when you submit feedback about the UI, Leo AI automatically takes that feedback in and makes updates to the UI. So if there's a bug or something like that, it will automatically make updates. Obviously, those updates are then manually reviewed. So basically what it does is it makes a pull request. Actually, let's walk through the entire lifeline of this, right? When you submit a feedback ticket, it's basically like a GitHub issue. So you're like opening an issue, like a ticket. So you noticed this issue, you report it to the developers, the issue is now open. Leo AI then looks at that issue and it says, okay, here's my proposed solution to this issue, and it codes the solution. And then LeoStrategy's backend and Leo AI's backend both have a manual approval, where basically if it's Leo AI based for us, in terms of the LLM, we look at it and we say, okay, yeah, this is a change we want to approve, or it's a change that we don't want to approve. And then we can either approve or not approve it. Same thing for LeoStrategy's UI. They can look at it and they can say, we approve this change or we do not approve this change. If they approve it, they click approve, and then it sends that update directly to the UI, and you'll literally see it in real time get updated. So I was talking to Taskmaster the other day, just over DMs, but the pace of development for Leo related anything is about to explode. And I think it already has, and you've probably already seen that. Like in the last week, we've seen the LeoStrategy UI come out. We saw Ace get released, and then we saw Apex get released with the alpha attachment. The pace of development is about to just skyrocket. And a big reason for that is that Leo AI is now tapped into everything. So Leo AI is basically our co-pilot to build whatever we want. So in real time, we can have autonomous building of many things. So like, for example, like some of the devs and us, like we'll set stuff up. We'll, start coding it. And then we'll have, the various AIs that we're using, including the Leo AI APIs, build overnight. So we're like, all right, we've got things to this point. Now you continue building. Then when we wake up the next day, there's a bunch of code to review. It's pretty amazing. We're basically building out a huge agent farm of code development, and the impact of that is going to be very obvious. So I will leave you guys with a little teaser. The InLeo mobile app is being finished. So many of you already know this, but we built the mobile app a long time ago, and then I took it off the App Store. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was great. So I wanted to just focus on the web app. But we still have all that code. So we have the InLeo mobile app, partially coded, and then I've kind of passed that off to Leo AI, and we're going to see how this does. But you may or may not see an InLeo mobile app in the next couple days, even. So I'm excited to showcase that, and it'll be fun. So keep your eyes open for that. If you have any feature requests, feel free to submit them on Threads as #feedback, and they may get implemented. They may even get implemented automatically by Leo AI. So I think this is a really fascinating time for our ecosystem. Whether you look at LeoStrategy or any of the other things we're doing with LeoDex and LeoKit, just look at, for example, like LeoKit. Let me switch my screen here. LeoKit, we're working on getting more integrators. So LeoKit's got integrators already. We've got all these, real-time quotes. So you can obviously see all of this. And then, it's super easy to add the API for LeoKit, and then literally any app can have cross-chain swaps. So we've been getting integrators set up with LeoKit. It's been awesome. We also built Thor Volume, which is just a little app that's actually been getting a lot of traction. But it's actually powered by LeoKit. So I just built this as like a showcase of what's possible using LeoKit and the LeoKit APIs. So you can literally, go build anything you want now, and LeoKit's APIs can give you cross-chain swaps immediately. So especially if you're like a vibe coder, I highly recommend using LeoKit. You can vibe code LeoKit into any website and immediately have cross-chain swaps, which will monetize your app. So go check out LeoKit, go share LeoKit, vibe code it into your next app, do whatever you want with it. It's pretty amazing. And then, Ahmad Manga said, oh, Leo AI made the new Leo app. Yeah, basically, like I said, we had kind of a core code base, and then we're just forking it and letting Leo AI do its thing. So it is going to have deep AI integrations. Keep that in mind. So when you're using InLeo's mobile app, it will be a pretty amazing experience. I've already been kind of playing around with some stuff. So we will see how soon that comes. I think the For You feed, and I listen to your guys' feedback. So one feedback I keep seeing is that the latest feed isn't what it used to be, or at least it's, and I honestly, I know people say that, but I don't think it ever was what you wanted it to be. So I think a lot of people want the latest feed to be more, like more high quality content. But if you were to look at like X or Facebook or Instagram, for example, or TikTok, and you went on them and you looked at the latest feed, so like the just most recent stuff, it is a bunch of trash. I mean, like go do it on X right now and see what you find. I mean, it is a bunch of like bots. It's a bunch of like garbage content. It's people just like posting nothing. It's bots posting, pictures. It's like, it is awful. So latest feeds have never been good for social media. And I don't think they ever will be. It's not like latest is ever going to be that great. So the real future is in the For You feed. And I've been saying this for a while. So the Leo mobile app will have the new For You feed powered by Rafiki. So, I think that's going to dramatically change the way you use InLeo, because as soon as you open the For You feed, you're going to start to notice that the feed is just extremely personalized. So Rafiki's able to see, who you upvote, who you comment with, what content you tend to like. And every new thread that gets posted on InLeo gets read by Rafiki and then categorized for the user. And that is what creates the new For You algorithm. So it's going to be, I don't even think you could say 100-fold improvement. It's going to be like a 10,000-fold improvement. It is going to create an unrecognizable experience when it comes to engaging with content on InLeo. So if you think the latest feed frustrates you a little bit, just stick in there and stick with it. It is important still to look at the latest feed occasionally and help sort through content. But the For You feed is coming, and it's going to dramatically change everything. So I'm excited. You're going to see that the best content that you want to see is just going to be all at the top, and you'll just keep scrolling and you'll keep getting good content. So keep up the content creation, keep up the engagement on InLeo, and the For You feed and the mobile app are on the way. I think it's going to be awesome. I plan to use the mobile app honestly more than desktop. I already use InLeo on mobile more than desktop, I would say. I just do it through a browser. So once I can get the the mobile app and have notifications and other things like that, I'm excited. So last thing, Morty said shorts. Yeah, we'll see. We have to see some stuff with 3Speak. Dagger sent me a DM. I'll check on that. Also said, love the graphics and usability of all this stuff. It just keeps getting better and better. And lightning speed. Literally, things are better week after week. Going to be crazy what this looks like in just a few months. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, we've always been fast, right? Like Leo team's always been developing fast. With AI now, I think we've 100x'd our ability to have output. in terms of updates, in terms of bug fixes. So you're going to notice the mobile app is going to be very much like a bug-free experience. And if you do have something, again, very similar to Apex. So again, like go use Apex and get an early look at this, but you'll be able to submit feedback directly in the Leo mobile app. That feedback will automatically create a GitHub issue for Leo AI to then code the bug fix. And then all we have to do as the Leo team is approve the bug fix. Literally that simple. So literally every day it'll just continue to improve itself. So it creates self-improvement on the code base. And the same thing's happening for Rafiki, same thing's happening for Apex. You know, it's all like self-improvement through the AI. So it's amazing. I mean, I can't even tell you how excited I am about where things are headed in terms of technology. So now my focus, you know, with a lot of these things getting automated, you know, even people in real life ask me, like, where is my focus going with all this AI, you know, automation and other things like that? Well, it just frees up more of my time to focus on marketing, frees up more of my time to focus on integrations for LeoKit, on volume for LeoDex, on users for InLeo. So instead of me spending a ton of time on the technical stuff, you know, AI is able to automate a lot of that manual labor, and then I'm able to spend my time on marketing and getting users. So it is, it's good for it's literally a win-win across the board. So thanks for watching this. I will let you guys go play with Apex. Go get some of the ACE pre-sale. I want to see Leo Lending get live. Price increases in 46 hours now. So if you want if you want to get as much ACE as possible, again, buy it before the price increases, and then, you know, the price is just going to keep bumping every cent. So I will see you guys next week, next Tuesday for the AMA. I think actually Taskmaster might be doing a live stream on Friday, so I'll drop in there if he does. I'm sure he'll talk about Apex and some of this other stuff if he does one.